Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to another episode of the hit, not yet critically acclaimed, you can be both at the same time, satirical news sensation, Headlines with Amr. Today is Friday, February 5th, and you are watching our 50th episode! Very exciting, very exciting, very exciting, but we have a lot to talk about today, so why don't we dive right in. In Israel, the army recently accepted the figure that 70,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since the genocide began 2 years ago, a little bit over 2 years ago. Now, I'm sure a lot of you, just like me, were like, are you fucking kidding me? This is ridiculous. All you did was deny, discredit, smear, lie about killing all of these civilians over the past 2 years. You called so many of the civilians you killed terrorists, even though the majority of them are children. You called the people who said you were doing this anti-Semites. That would be like me calling Bill Cosby. Yes, I'm going after Bill Cosby again. A convicted rapist who's in the Epstein files. Me noting that and you responding to me and telling me that I'm racist towards black people, or me commenting on Kim Jong-un being a disgusting, horrible person who treats his people like shit, and you responded to that by saying stop Asian hate. That is ridiculous. That is actually insane. I mean, the Gaza Health Ministry, because nobody believed them, even the President of the United States, Joe Biden, Democrats, they're all about freedom and human rights, said that he didn't know if those figures were true. And the Gaza Health Ministry responded by printing every single person's names. First in Arabic, then in English, and still no one cared. Can you put yourself in that mindset? You know, that you have to not only show all these human beings who are being murdered, most of them children, you also have to print their names because no one believes you and then print them in the international language. That is insane. But you know what? That's not, I think the bigger story here is that it's almost like the Israeli army is gloating, right? Like imagine the power and control you have over a narrative. That you can basically allow people to live stream your genocide, lie about it, smear the people that you're killing, smear the people who are commenting on the people that you're killing, and then later say that they were right with zero repercussions while you're killing them during a ceasefire. That's insane. I mean, isn't that basically what Scar did in The Lion King, one of the most evil characters we can all agree on? I mean, he basically didn't want to talk about it, he denied it, then he said, I killed... Maybe it's not a good comparison. A better comparison might be comparing the Israeli army to ICE and what they do and what they've been doing, along with the Trump administration. Because they did, in fact, lie when they said that Renee Good was trying to run over that officer. They did smear when they said that Alex Preddy was a domestic terrorist. And then Liam Ramos, I don't know, what is he, Hamas? The kid's 5 years old. It's all blurring together now. It's all the same shit. And you might hear me say that. You might say, yeah, I saw this comparison. It's a stretch. We don't need to be talking. Not everything is connected to Palestine. You know, not everything, you know, I understand that that's a big deal, but it's not the same thing. You know, don't use Alex Preddy as a plug. But then I came across this other piece of information, which is that the technology that ICE uses to illegally surveil people, their phones specifically, and follow them to their homes, to their places of business, that technology actually was created in Israel. And so as a wise sage and always right person when it comes to morality and humanity, Ta-Nehisi Coates recently said in an article in Vanity Fair, the citizens in Minnesota have, as American taxpayers, subsidized an occupation overseas that is effectively a laboratory for their own. And he's absolutely right. So it's not that Alex Preddy is a plug for seeing Palestinians. It's that he is Palestinians. He is Hind Rajab, a 5-year-old girl whose family was shot at 355 times by the Israeli army. Hind Rajab is Rachel Corrie, a 23-year-old girl who went to the West Bank to protest the demolition of Palestinian homes and was run over by an Israeli tank, an American, for doing so. And Rachel Corrie is Sandra Bland. And Sandra Bland is Renee Good. And Renee Good is Captain James Williams, a Union soldier who formed a regiment after the Civil War to to protect black voters' right to vote, only to be brutally killed and tortured by the KKK. So no, it's not a stretch when everyone who stands in the way of an agenda that elevates one race over all the other ones is mowed down. A stretch is saying that Ja Rule is a rapper. A stretch is saying that Eric Adams had more than a third grade education. Not this though. To me, this is actually a clarion call. It's a clarion call to white supremacy's enduring presence throughout space and time. It's a clarion call to take JD Vance seriously when he says America is not a creed, something like e pluribus unum, but a people. Which people is he talking about? And so it's a clarion call to understand that anyone who stands in the way of an agenda that gives preferential rights to one group over the other, or exclusive access to resources for that group, will be mowed down because, contrary to its aim, white supremacy does not discriminate. That's why Alex Preddy, a white man's executioner's names were Raimundo Gutierrez and Jesus Ochoa. That's why an ICE agent without an accent is telling someone with an accent that he's going after him because he has an accent, but then there's a video that surfaces of an ICE agent with an accent telling a citizen without one, if you raise your voice, I will erase your voice. It's hilarious, right? Who do you think you are? Do you hear yourself? Because we hear you. And this is an old trick that colonial powers have employed for decades, and that white supremacy has employed for decades. In the age of colonialism, they appointed kings from the local populations to enforce their agenda. They taught them to buy into their own inferiority so they could own them. So I just have a little message for Raimundo and Jesus today. I know you're dying to sit at the murderer's lunch table with Jonathan Ross. And maybe one day you'll make it. Maybe one day you'll make it to the promised land and you'll be sitting on Jonathan Ross's couch watching a football game, eating shitty mozzarella sticks that are 99% breadcrumbs, 1% cheese, and maybe some hummus that has yogurt in it. And when a Latino player makes a mistake in the game and they start cursing him with racial slurs, I wonder, will you laugh? Will you chuckle? Will you tell yourself, they didn't mean it? Because I can promise you the homie Jonathan Ross, if he's anything like the Israeli Defense Forces, he means it. And he'll let you know. The issue we're facing right now is that identity politics is separating us when we're fighting against this agenda of white supremacy. And yet, the white supremacists, those in power, those who are oppressing us, they seem to be able to build a multi-ethnic coalition. And so I want to ask everyone, if the people with power can transcend identity, why can't we? Thank you all for watching. I hope everyone has a great weekend. And I will see you all in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.